Hi everyone, and welcome to Healing Between the Lines. I'm your host, Shikara van Staden, and this is episode 6. So for today's episode, I thought we would speak a bit about toxic environments, whether that be work, home, or in between. Everyone knows that a toxic environment can really bring you down, whether you are working, living, around, and anything in between. Now, I've been in a few toxic situations myself, so I do feel like I am talking out of major experience, or not major, I think I would be talking out of experience because I've been in a toxic work environment, toxic home environment before, not my own, a different situation, and that is something that now, being 23, is very difficult for me to manage. So I thought we would start off with a toxic home environment. Now, I know these people that are in a very toxic household. So to give you perspective, I know these people personally really well. I've known them for about 9 years, and I would say toxic isn't even the beginning of describing what these people have gone through. Just a disclaimer, I'm allowed to talk about this. Asked the permission I've asked, I've gotten the permission to talk about this. I just will not be naming any names, areas, how I'm related to these people. It's got nothing to do with the internet, but this is just firsthand, or like from an outside perspective, or what people see as toxic and that other people that live in that situation don't see as toxic. One of the things that I've noticed that people in a toxic environment in a toxic home environment don't know is toxic is when you've got 3 children, 2 children, 4 children, 7 children, how many children you have, and a husband and a wife, and they are not happily married. So all they do is fight. They fight morning when they wake up, morning when they get back from work, over the phone. There's no clear communication. I know firsthand when I've been in these people's houses, or the specific person that I'm referencing to, a toxic environment in a situation of like that, it really does impact the person, whether the person is a person that is an outsider or whether that is in the family. Now, scientists have proven that a toxic environment can make you more aggressive. A toxic environment can delay your trust. A toxic environment, especially a home environment, can, or not therapists, excuse me. So what it basically can do is it will delay trust in other people. It will make a person more sensitive, quote unquote, and it will make a person more aggressive. Remember, if you grow up in a toxic environment, it is prone that the people inside that toxic environment, when they move out of that house, don't know that what they've been seeing in the first 18, 19, 20 years, however old this person is I'm referring to, they don't know that what they've been through is not healthy. Now, throughout this, especially in parents, your toxicity or the way you speak to your wife or your children has one of 2 impacts. It either makes one of the children like you, like the person that is toxic, or it makes you better, makes you decide you don't want to be that type of person. And one of the things I've definitely noticed in this family situation that I have been a part of for so long is that one of this family members have decided to become better, and they are working really hard to be a better person. The other one has the same type of mentality, attitude, reasoning as the toxic person within the family. How I can explain as a person who has been part of this firsthand, what I portray as toxic. Remember, what I portray as toxic isn't necessarily toxic to everyone, but I do feel like majority of people would agree with me, is no clear communication. There's always screaming, whether it is over the stove not being cleaned, whether it is who's making dinner, whether it is the one person feeling like the other person is not bringing enough into the household. If there is constant screaming, it is a toxic environment. Whether you are an adult, a child, a bystander, a friend, whatever you are, that is a toxic environment immediately. And one of the things I've noticed, which a lot of people have been doing lately, which I'll add a screenshot here, is a quote unquote tactic of narcissism, is when my reaction, or when this person reacts on my reaction because of their action. So basically in a scenario, it is someone screaming at me, I'm screaming back, and now they're screaming back at me 7 times worse because I'm screaming at them. But the whole issue started from them screaming. That's just a basic example. Now, advice I would give regarding a toxic household, there's not a lot of advice. Because whether you're a child, if you're a friend, invite them over instead of you going over there. If you are a family member, you don't choose your family, but you can choose to keep them a part of your life or not. And that is something I had to learn really difficultly, and it took me really long to learn. Just because they're family doesn't mean they are automatically a part of your life. That is your decision. But advice I can give for things like that is take in what you see and try and be better. Because walking into a bar, for example, and we are all sitting and eating dinner, and now these two people are fighting, not play fighting, fighting of who is responsible for the bill. That's not healthy. So there's a difference between a husband and a wife, a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a friend and a friend being like, no, I'll pay, no, I'll pay, no, I'll pay, no, I'll pay. Physically screaming, saying that so I'm the one person fighting about the bill and you are the other person fighting about the bill. I said to him, no, you are responsible because you drank 2 more cocktails than me. And you say, no, but you're responsible because you ordered food and I didn't want to eat. That is not healthy. That is not open communication. That is causing a fight and causing a scene because you know someone else will back down eventually. And unfortunately, that is 101 of a toxic environment. Now look, I'm not saying that a toxic environment is, this is all a toxic environment is, because people fight. My husband and I fight with colleagues at work, my mother-in-law and father-in-law fight, my sister and I fight, everyone fights. But there's a difference between fighting because you are emotionally involved, or you're fighting because someone's got an attitude and you don't appreciate the attitude, than fighting because you've had such a shitty day or you are mentally feeling shitty that you want to cause a fight because that's your only let out. And that is one thing I have noticed that a lot of people, especially the older generation, have, is because, and I'm not saying all of them, please disclaimer, I'm not saying all of them. Again, this is first-hand experience. I'm not saying every Oma and Opa in the world is a toxic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying out of first-hand experience is, especially in the older generations, they don't know how to process emotions. They either scream or they bottle it. And it's not healthy. And that is where constantly being unhealthy creates toxicity in a family environment. So I feel like this video is all over the place because this is something I'm very passionate about. I'm very passionate about people being toxic or have narcissistic tendencies, or, just plain right out there, complete ass. I've got a big problem with that because you choose to be like that. I don't. I wake up with a smile, you wake up fighting. That's not my problem. I'm not going to entertain it. That's just the way I am. So talking about this has made me extremely passionate. So excuse if this video is all over, but I can't express enough how relationships, marriages, household, friendships, how toxic everything has gotten in today's day and age. Let's talk about relationships. It is not normal for your significant other to be denying you to go out with friends, for you to having to let them know your whereabouts every 2 minutes. Like, look, if I go out with my friends, I let my husband know, hey, I'm safe, having a drink, I'll be home at about 10 o'clock. I'll check in regularly. That's fine. But if I can reference my ex, when I went out with friends, I can remember this day explicitly. I went out for my friend's 17th birthday. I think she was a year older than me, so maybe 18th birthday. I had, within showing up there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, at her house where her parents were, showed up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. By 5:30, at 27 missed calls. That is not healthy. And in parents, you need to understand that what you portray, especially in a younger child, if you have kids that are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, up until 15, 16, what you are doing in your house, it can most likely, percentage-wise, damage that child and make them act the same way. I know of someone that's got an issue with one of their children. She's not a child anymore. She's about 19 now, I think. 19, 18, something like that. I know one of her parents have an issue with her attitude, but that is because she's throwing the same attitude that parent has had throughout her whole life. You cannot blame your child, and you cannot blame your spouse or your significant other or anyone to react the way you react if that's what they've seen for 18, 19, 20, 15, 4 years of their life. If you are living in a household that is extremely toxic, again, percentage-wise, at least one of your children will have the same reaction, have the same type of debating, have the same mood swings, have the same way of arguing than what that parent has. For a great example, I'm talking out of personal experience. I've had a person in my life that used to scream at me, say I'm worthless, say I'm overweight, tell me I'm never gonna amount to anything in life. I've had a person like that in my life for very long, or I had this person in my life for very long. And it took me 3 years from having this person excluded out of my life to get over the things she said about me, and to physically prepare. Like, when I speak to my husband, I have to mentally check myself, because when I speak, I've picked up this person's tendencies. I know my best friend has said to me before, I can see you were around a specific person because you are speaking to me the same way they are speaking to me. And because I was around that for so long, you don't notice it anymore. And the next video, because this video is already 18 minutes, 17 minutes, something like that. The next video will be about toxic working environments, but that is just the point of this video. It doesn't help you get angry at the person that is reacting on your action. You can't get angry. Someone broke a glass and I screamed at them, and then I break a glass and they scream back, because that is all they know. That is all they see. Whether that is in a relationship, it's scientifically proven, again, I'll add the percentage over here, that even people in a relationship pick up each other's tendencies. So if you're in a toxic relationship, the way that person speaks to their parents, the way that person speaks to their friends, you are going to pick it up. And it's not anything on you. It's not anything on that person. It is just, it's how your brain works. If you take anything out of this video, just know, one, if you see yourself speaking to anyone the way someone else spoke to you that is toxic, work on that. But that is not completely your fault. If you are with a significant other that treats people absolutely sugar honey iced tea, babe, that's not the person for you. And parents, if you are going to scream and fight and be just plain asses around your children, just know, as I've proven in this video, there is such a big percentage that your child will react the same way you do. Keep that in mind. Keep in mind, and someone has said this before, treat others the way you want to treat yourself, or the way you want to be treated. And if you don't live by that philosophy, look, not everyone is perfect every day. I get that. Trust me, over the last 3 weeks, I get that. No one is perfect every day. But it doesn't mean you have the right. I've been through shitty things in my life. That doesn't mean I have the right to treat people around me shit because I had a shitty upbringing or I had a shitty life. That's not fair to other people because they didn't cause that. Just keep that in mind. Like always, if you want to share your story with me, here's my email. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.